Portion of today's show is brought to you by Health Diagnostic Laboratory, Inc. Everything about you is determined by your genetics, your hair color, your eye color, even your skin tone. But you also inherit health risks and conditions thanks to your genetics, which I'm very, very concerned about. And that's why a test like the one offered by the Health Diagnostic Laboratory can be life-changing. Boomer Cornwell is here to talk all about it. Boomer, welcome back.
Thank you.
Happy Merry Christmas Eve.
A Merry Christmas to you, too.
All right, so this is important. You've got family coming into town. Isn't this the perfect time to sit down and talk about this?
It is, actually. And what we learn is so much of our cardiovascular risk, diabetes risk, stroke, it is hereditary. If dad had a problem or mom had a problem, aunts and uncles, grandma, grandpa, one, we learn maybe what could have caused their problem, but two, what risk are we at? What did we get from them that could potentially mean a risk for us? So
like someone like me whose father died very young from a heart attack, what would you see in this test that might be indicative for me that I have issues?
Well, we look at a couple of different things. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch of things we can look at, but we narrow it down. For instance, we look at a lot of the particles. You know, cholesterol is carried in particles. It's not a free-flowing substance in the bloodstream, okay? And there's many different types. So, like, for instance, one would be called Lp(a) mass particle. It's very atherogenic. It's very thrombogenic, which is going to be key, specifically in the female population, okay? And basically, it's an inherited trait. We have the ability to create certain particles based on our genetics, okay? Lp(a) mass, for instance, which is very, very dangerous, and women can manifest as stroke more times than not.
So, if you see that in like elevated levels in a test, does that kind of tell you need to be careful and look out for those things?
It tells you need to start trying to do something about it.
Oh. Yeah. So it's that serious?
Yeah, it's that serious.
Oh, wow. Okay, and so obviously you know, I know my family history because of my dad, etc. But what about people who are adopted, who, you know, don't know what their family genetics are? This is a really important test for them, right?
It is, and it's funny because I would always recommend anybody who's adopted to have as much genetic testing as obviously they're comfortable with having, because you truly don't know. And then whenever we learn that maybe you have a bad or maybe an elevated risk of the ApoE genotype or maybe MTHFR, something like that, well, then that's going to be indicative of the fact that we need to do something about that.
And so what sort of things can you do once you figure out that some of these levels are elevated and that you need to be concerned?
Well, if let's say our genetics give us an inherited ability to rapidly produce particles. Well, we can do something about that, okay? Our genotyping itself, we can't do anything about.
Right.
So maybe we need to figure out a way to get around that. An example of that would be the MTHFR, okay?
I'm like, that sounds really smart, but yeah, you'll explain it.
It stands for methylated tetrahydrofolate reductase.
Say that fast 5 times.
There you go. And we either have that polymorphism or we don't. And if we do, then we need to actually find a way to get around that. So we see typically that it'll manifest as elevated levels of homocysteine, say. So if our homocysteine is high, then that could potentially be a direct response to the MTHFR issue that maybe we have.
Gotcha. And this test is covered by insurance, right?
It is. It's covered by insurance.
Very cool. Well, I think it's great, and I'm a little scared. Like, will I have to stop eating steak if my cardiac issues are...
No,
oh, goodness. We'll have to talk about that.
Or maybe you have to eat more steak. Yeah.
Or more steak. I'm with that. Thank you so much. You can talk with your doctor if you're interested about getting the HDL test. We'll have Boomer and his colleagues back with us each Tuesday to learn more about how their test can help you and your family. And we're actually going to be getting some testing done, so it'll be interesting to see what our results are. You can get more information about the Health Diagnostic Laboratory by going to their website, hdlabinc.com. You can also call them at 1-877-4HD-LABS. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. So make sure you do that. That's important.
That's right.
And we will be right back. Stay tuned.